Hello everyone, Anina here, and welcome back to Vivid Earth. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing through these crazy energies? I know it's, for me, it's hit me hard. I'm feeling all sorts of aches and pains and all sorts of things that are normally not pleasant, but for the greater good, we accept that. So I hope despite all of the crazy energies, you're all doing well. Yeah, today I wanted to talk about an interesting subject that's been coming up for me, which entails our ancient origins and what we are really here to do. I'm feeling during this time that we are called to get in touch with our ancient origins, a remembrance of sorts of who we really are, which is a very complex concept, to be honest, because you're not just one thing or the other. We all have origins, so many different origins. You're not just Pleiadian, Arcturian, Andromedan, if you consider yourself a galactic soul. Now, there are people that are perhaps they originated on Earth and they haven't been on other planets. Those are the young souls that we need to lead during this time. If you are here, more than likely, you are a very ancient soul with various galactic origins. There may be a specific planetary alignment that appeals to you, that feels home to you. That is simply maybe the place where you either originated or where you spent the most time. And we're just starting to get in touch with our own galactic origins and trying to figure out, where we're from, who we relate to. And that includes me. And I've been diving down the rabbit hole and, I've been studying galactic origins and civilizations for a number of years now. I would say about 6 years now that I've just been fascinated about this subject, but it keeps adding to the complexity of this picture. Everything I learn and everything I download every day sort of adds to the complexity of this concept. And recently I've also learned that I have Arcturian guides that guide me in the work that I do, but that predominantly my soul resonates with Andromeda, which is interesting. And the Andromedans is a 12th dimensional race that is part of the cedar races here on Earth. Now, keep in mind that in your human form, which you currently are, you incarnated on Earth in this human form with its own human consciousness, even though your soul is ancient and from many other different places. But as a human consciousness or in a human body, we have to keep in mind that we originated from 23 different star races. So there's enormous complexity within our DNA, and that is for a reason. Now, the reason why Earth at this time going through the ascension is so important is that we hold the potential to be the unifiers of this galaxy. Because we hold so many different DNA from so many different races, that means that it becomes much harder to hate another race or species. Division becomes much harder once you learn that we have all these different cedar races within us. Now, some resonate stronger than others, and some may have a larger percentage, hold a larger potential percentage in your blood, in your DNA. But we all are originated from 23 different star races, and no one can take that away from us. And this is why what happens here on Earth is so important for the rest of the galaxy, ultimately, because this warring that has been going on back and forth for millennia, literally for millennia, I would say billions of years, is not sustainable. It cannot continue, and it's going to continue its cycle until somebody breaks the cycle. Now, for the large part, amongst most, benevolent races, there are already unity in the higher dimensions to a large extent. But there are a couple of races that have lost touch with their connection to others, that have perhaps been corrupted by AI, that have corrupted through a transhuman agenda. Well, maybe some of them you can't call human, so I don't know what that would be called. But basically, they've merged with artificial intelligence, with technology, because they thought that would make them smarter, more efficient, stronger, better, whatever you want to say. So that's what they thought. But in fact, what happened is they lost their connection with their soul. They lost their connection with others, and they lost unity consciousness through this process. And that is why, unfortunately, there is still some warring going on in the galaxy and on Earth especially. But I think the big game changer is going to be when the masses learn that they have all sorts of DNA within them, and that there are more things that unite us than what divides us. Now, unless you take the 40,000-foot view, you're going to be stuck in, this earthly division complex that have been created amongst humans, because it's easier to control a population if they are divided, right? If they are united, pretty much nothing can stand up against them, especially not the 1%, as we call it. The 1% that's ruling this planet, that have been, they have given over to other forces to control them as puppets. So they themselves are puppets. Even the 1% on this planet are puppets, and they don't even know it. But they've lost that connection with their soul, which is why they are doing what they're doing. Because if you have a connection with your soul, you will understand that we are actually all one. You've heard of the law of one? We all originated from the same source creator, sparks of source, fractals of God, however you want to name that. We are that. We are all that. So if we are all fractals of God or sparks of source, how can we hate one another? Because we're all part of the same entity, if you want to call it that, the same origins. So there's got to be unity. And when you evolve your consciousness, when your frequency rises, you become more sensitive, you become more empathic, which means you can actually feel what another soul is feeling. You can communicate with them through telepathy. You can read their mind. You can get a glimpse into their world, how they view it, how they see it, how they are feeling, their trauma, all of these things you'd be able to sense. So how can you hate another? How can you feel divided from another when we've all originated from the same source, when we carry all the same seed eraser DNA within us? So this will be very important for humanity to unite. We know there's still a lot of division consciousness out there because people don't know. They are ignorant. Maybe they are younger souls. They haven't evolved as much yet. So, it's important to have an understanding of that and compassion for that, even though you feel like, how can this person even think the way they do? Because you're an older soul. You're an ancient soul. You've been sent here on a mission to help unite humanity, to raise your frequency so you may influence the field and the collective consciousness. That's effectively what you are doing, whether that's your primary mission or your secondary mission, but it's part of your mission to be on Earth to raise your own human frequency, because you've already done it on other planets in other forms. But this human avatar that you've decided to take on in order to fix this planet from the inside out, and because you've forgotten who you are, and I'm talking for all of us, you have to reawaken that level of consciousness in this human avatar with all of the things that it, the challenges, the programming, the trauma, the, whatever you want to call it, that have influenced and that have left scars on this human consciousness. We have to pull that consciousness right out of the depths of darkness and evolve that human consciousness. And when we do that, we will reunite with all aspects of our soul, because our soul have, essentially, you are a kind of a fractal of your soul, your oversoul that came into this human reality. Not enough so to carry that ascended consciousness, but enough to feel that connection and that remembrance on a very subconscious level. For some people, it's more conscious than others. Others are starting to get in touch with that. I'm talking about the volunteers. We're all here as volunteers to pull this planet out of the darkness, out of the lower dimensions and densities into a higher density in order to achieve unity consciousness. Because when we've done that, we will impact the entire galaxy in ways we can't even begin to imagine. So, I know a lot of you are exhausted. You are feeling, going through the most. You are perhaps suffering, whether that is emotionally, financially, or whatever the case may be. But just remember, those things are catalysts for your human consciousness to evolve, to ultimately raise its frequency. And if you've done the inner work and you've worked diligently at raising your own frequency and opening up your own consciousness, those things become more conscious for you, and you consciously work at those things, remembering that you're still in this human avatar. So all of the human programming and trauma is still there to some extent, whether you've gotten rid of most of the shadows within this human consciousness, or whether you're only still starting. Most of us have that still within us. So don't feel like you're failing when you're having a bad day, when you feel like you're feeling low, or you're feeling emotional, or you feel stuff come up in your field, whether it's conflict or challenging relationships or whatever it is. You're not failing. You are working through those gently, as smoothly as possible. I don't know if you can hear the wheat heater, but literally, like, I can't. It always happens at the worst time possible. I don't know how that is possible, but that is the neighbors deciding that this is a good time to cut the grass. So I hope you can't hear it, but it certainly is annoying. That is life, right? We can't control everything around us. We would certainly like to, but we can't. And all we can do is just say, what am I supposed to learn from this? That's all we can do. Turn it into a positive, turn it into a learning experience. Now, I know that's just a wheat eater, and some of you have bigger problems. We all have bigger problems and things that we have to work through, challenges we are facing. And remember, we've just gone through this 5-5 portal, which is 1 to 5 and then 5 to 10. So it's changing direction. It's changing in the other direction, so to speak. So that signals change, transformation, moving in a different direction, closing certain chapters, releasing certain relationships, resolving certain issues that you've been struggling with for many years. Those are all things that you can be going through right now. And they're not necessarily fun, but they have to happen for you to embrace the upwards journey, the remembrance, the reconnection, full reconnection with your soul. It has to happen. So embrace the change as much as we don't naturally like change that much. We have to embrace it, because unless we open ourselves up, we're not going to be able to fill our cup up. We're not going to be able to raise our frequency to an extent that we'd wanted to. So we have to embrace change. We've got to be open to it. And just, go through it knowing that whatever awaits on the other side of this is for our highest good. There's nothing that is happening to you that is not for your highest good. And I know that is hard to swallow, because some of you may be going through a lot of challenges. So you're asking yourself, how can this be for my highest good? Just remember, your soul is in charge. There are no accidents. There are no coincidences. There's nothing that happens to you. All of this has been planned, decided, because you have a higher calling. So ask yourself, what am I supposed to learn from this? Why is this trigger keep coming up again and again and again? Am I supposed to learn something from it? And when I realize what that learning is, will it go away? Of course it will go away, because then you've learned that lesson. It's like going through school. If you're not going to pass certain subjects or certain tests, you're going to have to redo them until you learn. And, it is hard for us, I know, but ultimately it is for a higher good. Ultimately, it is for the higher good of the planet. So once you can start seeing yourself, or, as a neutral observer, like you are not this human consciousness, but you are merged with it, shall we say, within this lifetime. Your soul, an aspect of your soul, is merged with this consciousness, because there are different versions of you on other dimensions. You are a multi-dimensional being. And the more this human consciousness evolves, the more the soul is saying, hey, it's safe for us to get in there a little bit more, because your soul wants to unite. That is its goal. Unite all of its soul fractals that are all over the place, in order to become an integrated being. So, in terms of that word integration, we are not here to abandon our shadows. We are not here to ignore our shadows. We are not here to suppress our shadows. We are here to integrate it into our very being within this human consciousness, because that is what evolves us. So, the people that are all about love and light, and they don't like to see the darkness, and they don't want to see the darkness, they just addicted to the dopamine of the high, but not willing to do the work of integrating the darkness within them. So that they're doing themselves a disservice by doing that. I know we all love the highs, the bliss in those moments that we are on 5D, that feels so beautiful. We just want to stay there. But if we do that while ignoring that there are still lower aspects of this human character or human avatar that we need to work through, there's no bypassing. There's literally, you cannot bypass it, and you can't take shortcuts. But you can make this process shorter for yourself by embracing it, by going all in, by being brave to look deep within. And again, we've been programmed that is failure. It's not failure. We've all been programmed. We've all been traumatized in one way or another, even if it was at birth and you can't even remember it. Remember, we were snatched from our mothers at birth. Like literally, the umbilical cord was cut immediately, which there's nefarious reasons for that, but also it disconnects us with that connection to the mother and to our soul in a very harsh way that can leave trauma behind. We were meant to stay at least an hour on our mother's chest with the umbilical cord intact. It's not meant to be cut. Never mind the fact that there are incredible nutrients and things pass through the umbilical cord during that afterbirth process. So because of that, we all hold trauma, and you might not even know it's there, or at least recognize it's there. It might be so unconscious within your body that you don't even realize it's there. But there is that trauma of separation. There is that trauma that may feel like neglect. It isn't. It's not like your mother neglected you, but that is the way that things were when we were born. People were ignorant and they thought that is how it's done. It's not how it's done. But if you also understand, even that was meant to be, because you had to hold some trauma in order to help the human collective. Because if you learn how to alchemize that trauma that is trapped in your body, you are helping the collective. You're helping everyone else on this planet by doing the work, being brave enough to look within, not see it as a failure, not to bypass the subject, not to ignore the subject, but going deep within. And you don't need to dwell there either. It's just recognize it, feel it, see it for what it is, and then say, okay, I'm ready to let go of it. I've seen it, I've felt it, I've reconnected with it, and that is enough. You do not hold on to that. There's no need. You let it go, and your body becomes lighter afterwards. So, gosh, we do not like to look into the darkness, but we need to, right? Also, I wasn't sure whether I was going to share this, but I had a somewhat slightly disturbing experience as well at the stone circles that I visited this past few days up in, Gauteng, in Mpumalanga. That's the province it's in. You remember there's the Adam's calendar stone circle, which is the only working stone calendar in the world. And then there's also the ancient ruins where another stone circle is located. But at Adam's calendar, I had an experience, which, there are no coincidences, no accidents, but it really made me reflect. And it was a little bit disturbing, like I said, because we went there and we thought we were going to be alone, but there were two other people there. And they were not, I could see, there for sacred reasons. There was something a bit more unconscious there. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit annoyed because the one person was sitting on the fertility stone like it was some lazy Susan. Not lazy Susan, but those armchairs that go right back. So here he was sitting on the sacred stone that I so wanted to connect with. It's just one aspect of the Adam's calendar, but he was sitting in this on this fertility stone, scrolling through his phone, eating his takeaways, and I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was annoyed because I was here to really reconnect and merge with the sacred site, and that wasn't quite what I had in mind. And then we moved somewhere else, and I was discussing with the guide all the significance and the metaphysical aspects of this calendar and all of the incredible information and wisdom shared. And as I walked back up, because that was at the edge of a cliff, basically, this calendar is built on the edge of a cliff, and it looks down into a deep, deep valley that they call the Barberton Crater, which is where the Anunnaki was mining the gold that they needed to basically close up the holes in their atmosphere. So they needed monoatomic gold to do this. So they had to mine. They came to South Africa because there was a lot of gold here. Or they came to Earth, shall I say, first and foremost, because there was a lot of gold here. And they needed that for their atmosphere. But they needed to alchemize from diatomaceous gold or whatever. I can't remember the word, but I think that's it, to monoatomic. So they needed to be an alchemy that happened to transform that gold, which is why also one of the reasons why the stone circle was built in such a way on ley lines, amplifying frequency to alchemize the gold into a different form that they could use within the atmosphere. Anyway, so I was on the edge of this cliff, just overlooking this incredible valley, walking back. And then I saw this guy wasn't there anymore, but his takeaway bag and his other bag was just lying there on the fertility stone. I was like, I just said to the guy, like, how can he just leave his stuff here? You know, because now still I can't connect with it because his stuff is there. Now, I didn't know that he was just on the other side of me, and you know, he heard me. He was actually in the center of the calendar between the two stones where the sun and the moon meets in between the two stones. And he got very upset. And he said to me, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? You can ask the guide who I am. I was born here. I'm from here. So I said to him just very gently, we are all from here. We were all birthed here. Humanity was birthed here. But perhaps because of my skin color, he didn't like what I was saying because he felt that his much younger forefathers, which came hundreds of thousands of years later to this place, it's not actually their birthplace. They came from, I mean, their origin point, because they came from higher up in Africa. But he thought he had a certain claim to the land and that it was his. And he was annoyed that I am here as a white woman taking an interest in this piece of land. And of course, you know, I'm not one to back down. So I kept saying to him, well, we're all from here. And he got very angry. And he told me, I'm Ndebele, which is one of the tribes. And this is my ancestors' place. And I was just like ready to have this conversation when the guide that was with me, wonderful guide, Edmund Chitafa, he just whispered to me, he just said to me, just walk away, just walk away. And he continued to tell me there's been people that have been unalived here. Sorry, I hope I'm speaking loud enough, but I feel like I need to whisper this information and just walk away. And so I let it go and we walked away. But that guy gave me a look before I left. It was very scary, like literally scary. He looked at me as if he was ready to unalive me. So that was a little bit traumatic, unpleasant, not what I wanted there. But they say there are no accidents, right? So I had to reflect on that whole experience. But it made me sad because it made me realize that there is just so much division here still on Earth, even though both him and I hold the same DNA from the same cedar races. He maybe has a higher percentage of another DNA than I do. Maybe that's why we look different. But we are essentially the same human race holding the same DNA. So there's more commonality between us than there are, you know, separation. And that made me realize that we have a long way to go. When I say we, I'm talking about the collective. I'm not talking about you and I, because we are starting to understand how important unity consciousness is. But there are many people that are very, very far away from that, and they can only see what's in front of them, and they can only respond to what's been programmed into their minds by, you know, Marxist European puppet masters. For him, it was it was beneficial for them to divide us through race, through culture, through religion, through skin color, through whatever you can imagine, genders. It's been there modus operandi for a very long time. And before the Marxists came, it was there as well. That's just where we can go back into modern history, where it kind of started, you would say, or restarted. And they've been sowing division ever since. Left, right, blue, red, black, white, yellow, red, whatever, female, male, rich, poor. I mean, they've literally been dividing us with everything they can possibly divide us. It made me realize that we still have a lot of work to do, not for you and I necessarily on that aspect, but for other people to help lift them out of that separation consciousness. And so, yeah, there is still a lot of work to be done. I just want to say, for anyone that's not in South Africa, I do want to add that the picture that you see about South Africa is not really the true picture, because most of us actually live in incredible, beautiful harmony, no matter our race or our culture or our creed. Most of us love each other and we get along like a house on fire in most cases. So I don't want to make this sound like we all just so divided and we all hate one another, because that's not true. You have a plethora of races here in South Africa, and we all, for the most part, live harmoniously, you know, loving one another, cracking jokes together, despite our differences. But I would say maybe it is 10%, maybe it's 20%. I don't know what the exact percentage is, but there is that percentage that have been very successfully brainwashed by the Marxist masters and their puppets in turn, who are the politicians, who are telling us to hate one another because this one stole from that one, or that one stole this land, or whatever the case is. And the thing is, if we're going to continue that cycle, it will never end. It's a cycle that cannot end. Division doesn't end. It just changes. It's like a ping pong game. And I realized that a couple of years ago, I was watching a series on Netflix that was about the Spanish conquistadors, or whatever you want to call them. I don't know why my face is out of focus, but hopefully this camera will come to the party. I'm still out of focus, but I'm here. And it showed how the Spanish were conquering all these beautiful Indian Ocean islands and the indigenous races that lived on those islands. And they were so cruel. They were just wiping them out. No regard for human life. So you may say, okay, let's hate the Spaniards. But then when you realize, when you go really dig into the history, and you realize that the Spaniards were also treated like that, maybe 1-2 millennia earlier, then you start understanding how the cycle goes. Because the oppressed is inevitably going to become the oppressor, because he believes he is vindicated. It's his right to do so, because his culture has been decimated, or his countrymen has been decimated. So he has a right to go and attack that race that did that to his people, or that culture, or that, you know. And so the cycle goes on and on and on, and it's just like a ping pong game. It just changes hands. Okay, this one is won. Okay, he gets the ball. Okay, and then he presses that one, and then that one, you know, so it goes on. So you have to break the cycle, and this is what we need to make people understand, or understand, that we can continue on like this. You can kill us, and we're going to be so angry and vengeful that we're going to want to kill your daughters and children. Maybe not you and I, but you understand what I mean. And this has just been going on for eons. We've just been literally killing each other off, thinking the other one is the oppressor, not realizing that the other one is the traumatized child that never got over his parents and grandparents being killed in front of him. So what is the way out of all of this? How do we break this cycle? We break this cycle through compassion, love, loving kindness, Because when you show that other party love and kindness, eventually they wouldn't have a choice in how they respond. Because love and kindness breeds more love and kindness. So, and I know many of you know this, but perhaps not fully, understanding it to that extent. And so we can't just keep blaming one another. We can't just keep prosecuting one another. We can't just keep suppressing and killing one another. We have to stop the cycle. And we are the ones that are sent here to break this cycle on Earth, because that's how we save this planet. And I know there are NPCs. I know that there are people that cannot be saved. And yes, they may well be, recycled and sent back to source. But for the most part, we have to ensure, unless we want to leave a big scar on this planet, we have to stop the cycle. Think about the Lyran Wars. The Lyrans were decimated. Okay, but they eventually had to leave their vengeance and their anger and their hurt behind for the greater good. They had to forgive those that committed crimes against them in order to move forward. Because what we do here affects the entire galaxy, not only in terms of the frequency of the planet, but the unity consciousness that we are creating here, which affects the entire galaxy. So, as you can understand there's a much bigger mission here to be done. And we have to look beyond our own limiting beliefs. We have to look beyond our own human trauma that we hold within the inner child that have inherited this trauma. Sometimes it's not even your trauma. You've just inherited it's been passed along through the water, through the umbilical cord, from mother to child. Maybe by the 5th generation, that trauma wears off. That's the impact that it has. And this is why we have to stop the cycle. Now, we may not have complete peace on Earth within the next 5 or 10 years, but we're going to shift the needle to such an extent that it's going to feel like bliss, because things have radically changed so much. It doesn't mean it's all gone, but it does mean that we've made incredible progress in turning this ship around. Because you don't turn a cruise liner around in a split second. It takes time to change direction. It has to go against the current ultimately, or against the waves or the movement of the water to change direction. And that's not always easy or fast. But we know it can be done. We know we've been sent here to do this. We know we volunteered to come here. We were not sent here against our will. So we have to stop focusing on everything that's wrong, everything that everyone did to us, and find the commonality and really focus on our own conscious evolution. Because when we do that, things just shift, not only for us, but those around us as well. And when you doubt it because you can't see it immediately, just know that that cruise liner is changing direction. You may not see it immediately, but each and every one of those steps actively contribute to change. So each and every time that you choose love over fear, because hate is nothing but fear, deep-seated fear. So every time that you choose love over fear, you contribute to that changing of direction of the planet. That's why our mission is so, so important. And, it is one thread in a big tapestry of complexity, human evolution. If you can imagine this human evolution, the collective consciousness being a quilt or a tapestry, you may just make one little stitch, but it's all those one little stitches that eventually makes a beautiful tapestry that is so incredible. When you're done with it, you're like, thank goodness I didn't give up, because look what I've created, what I've contributed to. So every single right action that you take, every single moment that you choose love over fear, you're contributing to this incredible tapestry that is the new earth in the making, in all its glory, in all its glory. But just because you can't see the end picture of this tapestry, of this new earth, you think, oh, I might as well give up, my little stitch here and there. It's not going to make a difference because I can't really see anything beautiful emerging from this. But it is emerging stitch by stitch. And things are going to get better, if you're feeling that suffering, believe me. It's like you can't swim against the current. You've got to go with the current. You've got to go with the flow. You've got to have an open heart and an open mind and let the universe take you where you were meant to go. Trust your higher self. Trust your divine guidance to take you in the direction where you're meant to go, where you will discover an incredible world, an incredible life that you did not think was possible for you. But you needed to let go of the old in order to, embrace the new. You needed to close one door to open another one to your beautiful future. Because you can't have it all, and you cannot drink, you can't overflow your cup. If your cup is full, you can't take new, beautiful, new living water into it because it's already full. Never mind with bad water, whatever you want to call that. Maybe your cup is full of bad water, but you're holding on to it like for dear life because it's familiar. So just empty your cup out. Let it all go. Nothing is permanent anyway. Let the old stinky water go so that you can fill your cup back up with the most incredible living water from this pure mountain stream that is destined for you. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you, and understand that we all have this galactic DNA within us. None of us do not have that. We all have it in our blood. And if you are here, more than likely you are an ancient soul from a distant planet or distant universe even. And you've lived many, many millions of lifetimes to get to this moment. You did not come here because you were punished. You did not come here because you made a mistake. You came here because it's part of your soul's plan. You came here to donate your time, your energy, and your entire existence to this beautiful change that we are creating right now. And they only allowed the bravest to come. Otherwise, this mission was going to fail, right? So only the bravest, only the most experienced souls were allowed to come here to Earth during this time, because this is a very, very sensitive operation that cannot fail, because it will have repercussions for the entire galaxy. So only the most experienced, trusted souls were meant to come here during this time to turn this ship around. And you're one of them if you are here. So pat yourself on the back, give yourself some gratitude, treat yourself well, cut yourself some slack, and stand and walk into the grace that is meant for you, because you have a specific blueprint. You have a specific puzzle piece to this beautiful new earth puzzle that was necessary for this operation. And you're not meant to waste that opportunity. And not everything makes sense right now. And I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying you can do it. We all can do it. So choose love over fear, because there are many, many moments of bliss also. There are many, many moments that are so beautiful and so divine and so exciting that you're like, wow, what did I do to deserve being here? Because this is like the biggest event in galactic history, literally. Never before has a planet that was plunged into darkness, into lower dimensions and density, managed to pull itself out organically. It had to be destroyed. It had to be, there's various things that happen, but never before in galactic history has this been done. And we are like, we can see the finishing line in the distance. We literally can see it in the distance. And whether there will be one big push in the form of a bigger solar flash hitting this planet to push us over the edge, which is very likely, or not. But I believe, for me, that is how it's going to happen. We've had so many solar flashes, mini solar flashes over the last couple of years, which was going to be much easier for all of us, for our bodies, for our loved ones, for the people lagging behind. So this means that we don't lose as many people as we were maybe going to lose if there was a massive, unexpected, big solar flash. Our bodies would not have been able to handle it well. But now, with a final little push, I'm pretty sure we're going to be all good. We're going to be fine because we've been training for this. With every single solar flare, with every single CME, with every single Schumann resonance spike, you're becoming more trained, more ready for the big push. And you're affecting the collective consciousness in a positive way. So just remember that. You're here to do important work, and you have what it takes. So look darkness in the eye, go in there, integrate it into this human avatar, into this human consciousness. Because that would be a service to humanity that you would be doing, not just a service to self, to you, making you better, giving you a better future, but also for the collective, those around you. Because we are all also lighthouses around this planet, holding the light, holding the frequency in place. Okay? We are the frequency holders around the planet that just like, okay, keep it together. Just keep it there. We are those lighthouses. And the more we raise our frequency, the more we're going to be pulling Earth into a higher being, into a higher consciousness, back into its original form, whether that's Gaia or Terra. But this beautiful being that Earth is, and all of its inhabitants, they're doing this for the entire collective and for this beautiful planet, Mother Gaia, that has been nurturing and enveloping us for millennia. And she's alive and online and ready to go to the next level. And so are we. So let's do this. Let us do this. Okay? I'm very proud of all of you. I love all of you so much. And thank you for being here. Thank you for spreading your light. We all are a work in progress. Don't forget that. So it's all going to be beautiful. And I'm looking to take a group to Adam's calendar for a activation retreat, because that place is very activating. I'm still kind of integrating all of this. There are times when I've just gotten very emotional out of the blue, just not really, me, since I've come back. So it's been quite something for me to integrate this, all of this, but it's also like an ancient remembrance of who I am, who I may have been, what role I may have played when humanity was birthed in that incredible place. Whether it was, you may see it as an experiment gone wrong, but it isn't. We did a beautiful thing, and it's all going to work out for our highest good. So I want to take a group there. I'd really like to go on the Southern Hemisphere winter solstice on the 21st of June, which is when the sun and the moon lines perfectly within the two rocks, either like right in the middle. But it is short notice, so I need to see if I can get enough people together that are willing and ready to go. It'll probably be a 3-4 day retreat. We will spend we'll do multiple visits to both circles because they are also very healing. So if you have something physical or even mental or emotional going on in your body that you just can't seem to heal, I believe this could be an opportunity to do that and to take you to the next level and to connect you with your higher self, with your soul, with your star family, with your higher dimensional being. And remember, we're going to be first contact. You and I and everyone that is on this frequency are going to be the first contact on this planet. We are the ambassadors of this planet. We are the bridge between the lower dimensional earth and the higher dimensional earth. We are the ones creating that bridge and leading the rest over that bridge safely. So for me, it's also about activating your galactic connections and origins in a place like this. A remembrance about who we really are, where we're really from, what we've done in other lifetimes, what are the gifts that we can tap back into from other lifetimes. And what are the gifts that we need to fully unlock within this lifetime here on earth. So if you're keen, pop me a mail at anina@vividearth.org. If you don't remember that, you'll still have the link below to my website. Even if you send it to our info page, which is live@vividearth.org, I will still get your mail. So pop me a mail if you're keen to go. And for those that maybe timing is not good and they want to go later in the year, pop me a mail as well and let me know. So I can see if I can get enough people together to make this work, and we will have an incredible activation and a healing ceremony, or perhaps multiple in both circles. So I look forward to, if you are feeling called, if this resonates with you, then it means that it's meant for you, but only if it resonates with you. So yeah, and also just a reminder, if you do enjoy this content, make sure you are subscribed and that you share this content with others, that you share this video, that you like the video, so we can fight the algorithms, because they are still a thing, the algorithms of this particular platform. But soon everything is going to be in our favor. We are at the end of this spiritual war, and you are a triumphant light warrior, and I'm proud of all of you. So, and don't forget to join us on Telegram as well. That's where we share all the daily news, like so many articles and videos and documentaries and tips and inspiration. So if you want to be part of a community, make sure you are subscribed to our Telegram channel. It's just called Vivid Earth, one word. And the link is below. So that's it for now. Any last minute people that want to join our beautiful transformation retreat in Stanford in South Africa at the end of the month, we've got 2 spaces left. So if you're feeling called to fuel your transformation and to learn tools and tips that's going to help you through this ascension process, then that would be for the, this retreat is for you. It's a 3-night retreat on a beautiful organic farm, about 45 minutes, I think, from Hermanus in a coastal town in South Africa, in the Western Cape. And we'd love to have you, but then you'd need to get in touch with me quickly so we can get your room reserved and sorted out. We only have 2 spaces left. So beautiful, intimate retreat where we will learn energy work, basically. Qigong, you learn to work with energy, both in the space around you and within your body. A lot of meditation as well. So that's what we need to do. We need to do the inner work. We need to go inside. We need to be still, quiet, so that the gifts can be unlocked. Otherwise, there's no room for them. So anyway, I hope you have a fabulous weekend. And yeah, just do what you need to do. Give your body what it needs. Remember self-care.